Never worry again about sales tax with Davo by Avalara. From collecting to filing to paying, Davo works seamlessly with your POS, backed by a guarantee that your taxes will be paid on time and in full. You take care of the business, we'll take care of the sales tax.
All right, I'm here with Juan Martinez. Juan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much for allowing me to be here and share a little bit of time with you and with the audience.
All right, talk first a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So I am one of the principals at Profitality Labor Guru. We're an industrial engineering consulting firm. And what we do is we work with restaurant brands, food service brands to improve unit economics. It's all about doing more with less from a functional design. The center of our world is the crew member, the team member. And if we make it easy for them, they're going to deliver. So that we focus on everything they do, every bit, processes, procedures, equipment platforms, products, you name it, design. It's all about making more money. You know, show me the money is what I would say.
Exactly.
The old adage.
Yeah. So let's, I wanted to talk to you for the podcast for a very specific reason. And because these days, right now, we are about to head into a value war. Actually, we're in one.
We are.
And the rest of 2024, most of the industry is going to be talking about value. We're going to be talking about price. Restaurants have lost a lot of their customers. Customers are very frustrated about price. Most of the interviews I'm having right now usually include some semblance of customers are frustrated with prices. Customers want more for what they're paying for. So not only do they want prices to be lower, but they expect higher quality, and they still want convenience. And we see, we got Red Lobster just closed 1/6 of its locations. Mm-hmm. Probably by the time this podcast comes out, it will have filed for bankruptcy. Probably more closures coming. O'Charlie's closed half of its locations. McDonald's just signaled to the industry that consumers are frustrated about prices. So against that backdrop, what is the best way operators can deal with an environment like this, where consumers have high expectations for everything?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, pricing is a piece, just a little piece of the equation. Every time I read about value, it sort of corners you into price, right? And what's the deal? But from our perspective, value is what you receive divided by what you pay, right? It's a mathematical equation, and what you receive is, of course, you see what you pay in the pocket, right? But as you're going through the exercise, what's the quality of the food? What service did I get? That I have a good odor accuracy. So there are many functional pieces that come to play to value. And I'll go back to, one of the benefits of having been in this industry now for 41 years, something like that is, I used to be with Burger King for 17 years, and we had a program called QSCV. Mm-hmm. Quality, service, cleanliness, and value. And what we went to do was to try to understand, how are we doing quality? How are we doing service? How are we doing cleanliness? How are we doing on many things? And price from a competitive perspective. And we kept our eyes on that significantly, because the challenge is that you can fix something today and tomorrow it's broken. And it wasn't that it broke because you didn't fix it right. It's the consumer change. The consumer continues to change. One of your podcasts, by the way, thank you for the myriad of information you're putting out in the industry. I think I spend half of my day reading what you guys are putting together, right? So, which is good. No complaining.
You should get hazard pay for that.
It could be. But there's many of them that you've talked about on what's the issue here, right? Like Chipotle. You mentioned one of them was, well, you know what? Chipotle's always been trying to fix throughput, and you know what? They always will, because once you fix it today, it'll be broken tomorrow, and you continue to improve it and to fix it. The best in class. We work with a lot of brands. We work with like 65-70% of the top 100 brands. The best in class, it's on a continuous improvement mentality. Whatever I do today, it's not good for tomorrow anymore. It was good for yesterday, so I got to keep improving. So throughput is something that the likes of Chipotle will continue to improve, the likes of Chick-fil-A, right? These are leading companies that pay attention to the functional side of design, while on the other side, They're adding value with the product quality, with the pricing. Trust me, they keep their eyes on pricing. They keep their eye on everything. So it's a careful balance, right? It's just the way that the industry requires for you to stay competitive.
Right. But so the thing is, like, if you're, so we've talked before about value, what consumers want out of restaurant. I mean, what consumers consider a good value isn't necessarily all about price. It's usually about what they're getting for what they're spending right now. But I think a lot of operators have a tough time understanding what that value is. Should they lower prices, get bundled meals? What is it? How would you define it right now?
Well, no doubt the value from a pricing perspective has to be there, because if you don't have the right price and the right offering, you could be perfect in a functional design and still not make money. You got to make money, right? At the end of the day, you got to stay up with times, right? What's going on in the times with inflation and what groceries are giving. I mean, really, it's all about share of stomach. I read one of the things that you guys wrote about is losing customers to, was it Walmart?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You say Walmart? Are you kidding?
Walmart.
No, but you read the article and it makes you think of it. Yeah, that's correct, because people are thinking about share of stomach. People are thinking about, how do I feed my family? What's it going to cost me? Right. But on the other side, what restaurants have in benefit that Walmart does not is the rest of the experience. Right. Is what did I get? What was the experience? What was the consumer, the employee giving me? Right. How did they treat me? It's just so many pieces. So it is critical, as you were asking the question, it is critical for companies to keep their eyes on the functional design just as much as they keep their eyes on the value cost perspective. Even to the point, I always tell this to potential clients and existing clients. Look, you do consumer research all the time on pricing, on brand, all that. You should do equivalent types of studies on functional design, right? How is my speed of service? How's my throughput? How's my labor? How's my design? How's my order accuracy, right? And that you have to keep it going, just like you do consumer research on the product, just about every year, many times. You should do that on a frequently basis, because that's how you stay in balance. To drive the total equation of value as I see it in our perspective.
Okay, so explain what functional design is.
So functional design, you know Ursula, from the Little Mermaid?
Yes.
Right? Many tentacles. Functional design has many tentacles, right? Mm-hmm. It's all what we call the operating parameters. It's processes and procedures that you follow. To get from here to there, what do I have to do? The simpler you keep it for your employees, the more likely they're going to deliver. Keep it simple, right? The KISS principle, keep it simple, because the employees, they need it, right? There's just too many. When I have to think too much, they're going to get it wrong. So processes and procedures, platforms, which is equipment and technology. We're here at the NRA, perfect place to go see what's out there, right? And I just got here. I think I walked one pavilion, the small one. I'm looking forward to see what we see. I'm looking forward to see what this artificial intelligence, you recently wrote an article, you guys, about what is artificial intelligence?
Yes.
Well, you know what? It's got many tentacles too. Depends on what you want to be. So it's the place design, it's the workstations, it's the layout, right? And most importantly is what we call the people design, meaning make sure you have the right labor in the right place, doing the right things the right way, right? Labor often is looked at as a total, right? I did 16% labor today for the day, so I'm good. But you know what? What was the labor that you needed to have at peak to drive that throughput, to drive that service? You could do the whole day fine. You could do the whole week fine. But you got to look at it even from an hourly perspective. All that is part of the functional design. And as you go through that, you need to understand, how long does it take me to do anything, right? It doesn't matter if I make a burger, I sell a burger for $1 or $100. Well, how long did it take me to do it? How long did it take to do a pizza or a chicken or whatever it may be? That's what the restaurant has to get in terms of time, right? And that's how you are employee-centric, right? That's how you do right by your employees, because we're convinced if you do right for your employees, they will do right for you. If you don't do right for them and you push them to a corner because you're making them work too hard, they'll cut corners. They'll figure it out, but they'll cut corners. And then the functional sign of value gets impacted dramatically. And now you got to fight the battle on price more.
Right. I mean, I was talking to an operator earlier today, in fact, that about this idea of that it is more important today than ever to make life easier on your employees. I mean, and you're bringing up a really good example. If you don't do that, your employee is going to make life easier on themselves in one form or another.
Correct.
That it's really important for restaurants today and going forward to make sure that they're investing behind not simply in labor saving devices, but essentially in operation saving devices.
Correct.
That you're and probably a really good example is kiosks.
Mm-hmm.
Kiosks not really a labor saving device. You can't really cut labor right now. I mean, some probably are, but on balance, what happens with kiosks is it just forces brands have to redirect their labor elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It just saves a task,
Yep.
more or less, or and things like that. So, but it's really, really important today to make sure that your labor is operating, that you make life easier on employees, because otherwise they're going to do it
Correct.
for themselves.
Correct. Yeah, and kiosk is an interesting technology because you might recall, heck, you guys wrote about this, what's going to happen in the middle of the pandemic. Are kiosks a thing of the past? Are people going to want to punch screens, right? Well, you know what? Guess what? They are. Because it provides a functional benefit to them. And as a matter of fact, a well-designed kiosk, it's a great journey. It's a great experience for you to see what you're ordering, to make it your own, to suggestive sell, because one of the big pieces around kiosk is your ticket prices are high. And by the way, you have to be careful with that too, because today the ticket prices were high, but when I walk home, I used to buy $15. Today I got 20. What happened? Is that playing tricks in my brain with value? But it's all about how you apply it, right? It's all how you apply it. And you were talking about technology and information. We did a project recently where we analyzed what was going on. There was a brand that had a tremendous demand at peak, tremendous demand, but they had to turn off their digital channel because they couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Right? Can you imagine that? I've got sales to give and I can't take them because it blow up. They blow up. So we went in and through our industrial engineering application process, we uncovered where the issues were. And a big issue was information flow. Like I said, right labor in the right place at the right time. Same thing with information. Right information in the right place at the right time. The person that was starting the process had a list of 10 things he was looking at, or she was looking at, and all they needed was one of those lines. And that stayed there until that order got bumped up down the stream, and you couldn't see orders behind. So we streamlined it. All they saw was one line, two lines. All of a sudden, we opened up Pandora's box. I mean, it's just with the channels were open, and then they could handle it much better. I mean, we did other changes. Don't get me wrong, right? You got to do other things. It's not as simple as that. But if you didn't do that, the rest, we couldn't have done it. So information flow will simplify your life. There's a ton of POS companies here. There's a ton of, information providers, AI, right? That's one of the AI areas that people talk about. So a lot to see here on that. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, you bring that up like restaurants having problems at peak time. Like right now, Starbucks has, Starbucks sales turn pretty starkly south. And starting in November. Now, I've said this multiple times. I think what's going on with Starbucks is something a little bit beyond their control. That it's they have more of a social media problem than anything else. However, one of the problems at Starbucks that people point out, among them Howard Schultz, is that at peak times, their restaurants get so busy.
Yeah.
Starbucks has a lot of operational challenges. It's weird, actually, for a company that sophisticated and with as much technology and information that they have at their fingertips, that they have some of the problems that they have. Like one of the problems that they mentioned is that they had a high percentage last quarter of customers starting an order on the app and then not finishing it because Starbucks was out of stuff. Actually, that happened to me yesterday. I tried to order Starbucks, and the one nearest me didn't have a bunch of stuff that I would normally have ordered. And but we see these issues with restaurant companies where they have some real problems at peak times. Even highly successful companies with a lot of technology And sometimes it seems like the technology that we're throwing at restaurants, mobile ordering, kiosks, drive-through, and all that other stuff, is causing more issues at peak time, and customers have high expectations. When I order on my mobile app and I go to Starbucks, I expect that thing to be there.
That's right.
And if I'm going through the drive-through and that line is taking too long, I might pull out of the line. And it seems like all of this technology is making it so easy to order that teams in the back of the house have a tough time keeping pace with all of it.
Correct.
And it's causing a great deal of stress to the point they unionize an entire coffee chain.
Yeah, well, that to start with, let me say that is a good problem to have, because that means you have demand.
Yeah.
Right. I know it hurts, right, when you can't deliver to it, but you have demand. That's good.
Yeah.
Right. Now what they need to do, and they do, and I'll bet money Starbucks will figure it out.
They
right?
will.
They will figure it out because they have this mentality. They have this team. We used to work with them for a little bit of time, but they'll figure it out. Right. Now, one of the challenges Starbucks had is that they went from a coffee-centric company to a drink-centric company, right? Which drove demand, drove sales, but it drove challenges in the back, which then impacts this digital order that, by the way, we went from way back when you had 2 or 3 POSs in the front counter to infinite, right? But like I said before, it's a good problem to have. You just got to go back and see where the issues are from a functional perspective. This goes back to what I was telling you. The best in class have a continuous improvement mentality and culture, because what's good today, it's not going to work tomorrow because my sales are growing, because I want it to grow. So how do I keep changing myself, reinventing myself? Starbucks is in that problem, right? It's right in there. So you go back and say, functionally, what am I holding back? Do I need some technologies? Do I need some equipment that I see here? Right? Do I need to change procedures? Do I need to cancel a product that gets in the way? Right? There's so many variables that you can play that to get you to this functional design to drive that value. Right? I go back to the word here. The primary is value. Well, there's a functional side that's big. That as you get more demand, it could create big problems for you. But that's a good problem to have.
Right.
Let's go fix it.
Yeah. That's a really good point. But it's sort of like that old Yogi Berra quote, nobody ever goes there, it's too busy. And
can you voice it? Can you do that?
No, not quite. No, not on this podcast. We've already brought two cartoon characters in one podcast.
I've got 9 grandchildren, so I have to bring them up.
All right, fair enough. But that's interesting. It's the thing. Starbucks and a number of other companies almost like a victim of their own success.
Exactly.
Where they and it seems like, but you would think that they would have been prepared for this. Their shift from cold to cold beverages, which is one of the more remarkable things we've seen, just out of the consumer and out of restaurants. Is and then how that demand sort of fed on itself, and then how amazingly successful their mobile app is. I mean, they get like almost 60% of their sales now through their mobile app. That is the second largest restaurant chain in the country. So that is no small potato.
And I bet they'd love 100.
They probably would.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When you think about mobile ordering, you think about this, it's a labor saver.
Yeah.
Because about a third of my transactional time, roughly 20, 25, 30%, I don't have to do it. Somebody else does it. I don't have to take an order. I don't have to take cash. So there is something to that. Wingstop wants to go 100%, right? I get it. Now, in the case of Starbucks, it's a little bit more dangerous because Starbucks has an experience they still want to deliver.
Right.
They were an experience to start with, and they stuck to it. The third place, right? Was that?
Yeah, they have that third place.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is I had the CEO of Big B Coffee on the podcast a couple of years ago, and and one of the things that I asked him is how, this idea that the coffee companies have changed from this experiential idea to more of a throughput, get people through. And the comment that he made to me at the time that just stuck with me is well, yeah, it's great to have an inside experience, but you can only make so much money
Yeah.
focusing on that.
Yep.
You have to, and then that's what some people were saying on Twitter. One of my followers was like, one of the problems with Starbucks is, they've sort of lost that experience, but you can only serve so many customers that way.
That's right.
And, so Starbucks for its investors and its employees and everybody else that makes money from that brand has to be able to handle all of these customers.
Yep.
Because that throughput is really important.
Well, you take, it's the old adage. You take the business where the people are wanting to buy it, and if off-premise digital is where they have to go, you got to figure out. And if that runs the risk of 1 million POSs, 1 million registers.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm exaggerating, of course, but you know what I mean.
Right.
And you've got to go back and say, how do I fix it? How do I deal with it from a functional perspective? Because, like I said before, you've got the sales. That's a good problem.
Right.
Now let me fix functional, because that's a bad problem.
Right.
Because I can lose sales, by the way, by doing that.
Well, potentially in theory, their problems got so bad that they're losing sales. And the issue with Starbucks, and I don't mean to harp on Starbucks on entire pipe, but right now they're one of the more fascinating companies that we've got, and they're actively losing sales in an area that you sort of specialize in, which is helping with this, with this and helping operators with some of these challenges. So that's it. So to me, it's a really good example to talk about.
And they'll figure it out.
They will figure it out. But like what they're losing, the customers they're losing are not their mobile customers. Their mobile customers are still flocking to the chain.
Yeah.
But now they're losing customers, the occasional customer, this customer that will visit them from time to time. And then the issue is like that, there's multiple issues. Customers are spending a lot of money when they go to Starbucks, which is, so Starbucks has raised their prices generally very aggressively over the years. So, you're paying $7 for essentially a cup of cold coffee, which is insane to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, customers see how many challenges there are involved just in going to one of their shops. And so, so to me, it's an equation they do actually have to deal with.
Yeah. And that's a problem many brands have, by the way. It just matters Starbucks has visibility at the top, right? Because they're the best. So, but many companies have that same problem. And then you can deal with it, right? Deal with it. But the key is, as I said to open, is while you have value on the pricing, you got to deal with value on the functional design side. And keep your eyes on it, because it's going to change tomorrow. I go back to you saying, well, Chipotle's been working on throughput. They have, and they will continue to work on throughput. Yes. That's a great team over there, great brand, because they know that they're only as good as yesterday. Tomorrow won't work. You got to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. I mean, this industry is constantly changing. The consumer is constantly changing. And you never know what is going to happen. You mentioned Chipotle. One of the issues Chipotle has got right now, and a potential challenge for them in the next couple of years, is a lot of their consumers now think they're skimping.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
I've read it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they think that they're skimping.
I don't know about that, man.
I don't know. I mean,
those burritos are heavy.
Yeah, I mean,
but
it's true.
I'm only one consumer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, their burritos are very large, and to me, I don't necessarily see it. But what I care about doesn't necessarily. What I think doesn't matter. What Brian Nickel or Scott Boatwright think does not matter. What matters is what's the consumer's perception. And if the consumer is obviously talking about your portion sizes, and that's the point, you just never know what kind of challenge. You might think you're doing okay, but then the consumer says no, and then now you're going to have to address a problem.
You take action on it. They're one of those continuous improvement companies. They take action on it. So they'll fix it as well.
Yeah. All right, super.
It's exciting. All this keeps us busy, man. Keeps you writing, keeps me consulting.
That's right. Yeah. It's got to keep fueling. It's what's so much fun about the industry.
That is
so much.
That is. Yeah.
Right. Juan, this was great. I really appreciate you joining me again on the podcast.
This was fun.
All right.
Thank you.
Never worry again about sales tax with Davo by Avalara. From collecting to filing to paying, Davo works seamlessly with your POS, backed by a guarantee that your taxes will be paid on time and in full. You take care of the business, we'll take care of the sales tax.